Welcome to Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast. I'm your humble host, DJ Scott, and today I will be covering the latest news, recapping Week 4, my updated power rankings, my Week 5 picks, and we got to talk about this MetLife turf. Like, it's bad. We have a lot to get to today, so let's do it. As always, I start my Week 4 recap or my weekly recap with the Monday night games. I'm going to start with New York, with the Jets versus Dolphins game right here. The Dolphins ended up winning 27-21, but it was just a rough fight. Like, it was just a rough game in general. Just watching both of these just really bad teams try to do something on Monday Night Football. It's like, why is this a Monday Night Football game? If you're going to do doubleheaders, like, even, I understand that they make these games like, 6 months before, like, the season even starts, before we know who's really going to play and who's not and all that good stuff. But you have to know before the season starts that even this game on a Monday night is terrible, right? So it's just the doubleheaders alone are stupid, and then to do it with a game like this is awful. But to get to the game, the Dolphins are showing some level of fight. They're definitely not dying, but it's not really hard to do against the Jets. You have the Tyreek Hill injury that was very gruesome in the game. It was quite weird, the fact that he was as he was getting carted off, he was laughing and clapping. It was just it was an eerie sort of sight, especially knowing his past. But it's just the Dolphins they showed some fight. The Jets look out of sorts. I thought they were really coming up with, they were starting to get like this culture around them, but it seems like they don't really seem committed to it. Like, it just feels very much like they just are not as committed to what they are doing or how they are going to be. I mean, the offense is just way too conservative, and it's like, you got Justin Fields out there. He's got a rocket arm. He's not the best player. I'm not one of these guys who's like a Justin Field apologist, but he's got a rocket arm. He can run that thing. He had that incredible like 45-yard run in the middle of the game that I thought was really good. And I was like, okay, why don't they just capitalize off that, run some RPO, do something? They just kind of kept dropping him back in these really weird conservative ways. And the running game wasn't really working, so they just really didn't. It just was a very weird game. It was poorly coached, I would say, on both sides, but it was also just kind of like, it didn't really feel like either team really wanted to win. It felt more like the Dolphins just had more talent, and the Jets were just so weirdly, oddly conservative. It was just an odd thing. The Jets are now 0-4. They haven't won a game yet. I'm sure people, whenever it's a black coach, you gotta think about the hot seat, right? Because apparently it's become a thing where a black coach really only get 1 year. Like, Jared Mayo is Aaron Glenn the Jared Mayo of this season? He might be. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, just they don't look well coached, to be fair, though. Not to make it all about him being black, but it's like they don't look well coached. Like, so it's like you gotta recognize that. I mean, Justin Fields had a solid game too in this game. It's so weird. Like, I'm sure some of that was garbage time too. I mean, most of that was garbage time, but it was like the stuff they were letting him do in garbage time. I was like, well, where's all of this throughout the game? Where's this letting Justin Fields uncork it throughout the game? Where's this like allowing him to run sort of thing? But he was 20 for 27, 226 yards, 8.4 yards per attempt, and a touchdown. He got sacked twice. He had a 27 long throw rushing wise. He's 7 rushes for 84 yards, and he had that long 43-yard run. He also had a fumble early in the game. But I mean, it's just he had a touchdown, and I don't understand. I don't know. I just don't understand the what seems to be this kind of conservativeness around Justin Fields. Like, just let him uncork it at this point, in my personal opinion. But Tua was okay in this game. He was kind of typical Tua to me. Didn't really do much. Made some solid throws here and there, but he's just still is not really like an elevator. He ran the ball 14, 17 plus 4, 21 times. The longest run they had was a 23-yard run by Brees Hall. Yeah, it just they weren't really getting anything going, and it just felt like they could have leaned on the pass more. I don't know. It also just feels like they don't have the dogs too. But I think they got the dogs as good as they with the Jet against the Dolphins. You know what I mean? Like they have similar dogs to me. They have similar rosters that are solidly built on the defensive end, but like offensively, they don't really have much else other than the main players. And then when Tyreek goes down, that's a whole thing too. But Devin A. Chain had 20 carries for 99 yards. Tua was 17 for 25, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. He wasn't sacked at all. Yeah, it just was a pretty much like a big nothing game to me. The only other big thing to really mention too is Garrett Wilson is really good. Garrett Wilson's still fantastic. They're starting to throw it to Mason Taylor more, which I think is cool. But I just would like to see them let Justin Fields kind of uncork it. It just feels like we're watching him be kind of held back. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the other Monday night game. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. That was kind of boring. But Cincinnati versus Detroit. This one was also a bad game, but I could kind of see the vision here. I could see the vision with this game. How would they know that Joe Burrow was going to be hurt by this time in the season? I could see why this is a Monday night game just on the offset. It turned out to be a stinker because of the Joe Burrow injury. I think if Joe Burrow was playing, it's a bit way better game. But one thing I have to say is like without Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor turtles, man. Like he just turns into like it's like they had that first game. They had that first game where they where Jake Browning played, which is really it was a fill-in spot. He really came in for Joe Burrow. But since they've had like a week to prepare for Jake Browning and to prepare him some sort of game plan, they just have not come out with any game plan that I think is even viable. To be fair, it's not necessarily a fair assessment too with the whole Jake Browning thing because they just went toe to toe with two of the best defenses probably in the NFL, right? They had the Vikings first, then they had the Broncos, like two really good defenses, two really good defensive lines, two really good defensive minds that are a little bit crazy. So, and they're going to do a little more weird. They're going to do weirder stuff you haven't seen before. They're going to blitz you in ways you haven't seen. And Brian Flores from the Vikings and then Vance Joseph from the Broncos. So, there's not a great assessment of Jake Browning right now, but I do think if I'm the Bengals, you got to consider looking for something on the market as far as a backup quarterback goes. I mean, I've heard this thrown around. Like, I don't know if this is, real because the Eagles have, the pass rushing issue. They're not getting much pass rush from their defensive ends. They are last in the league in sacks from their defensive ends or outside linebackers. They are last in the league in sacks from their outside linebackers or edge rushers. So they need pass rush, and also the Bengals need a quarterback. So people are throwing out this idea of like Tanner McKee to getting traded to the Bengals for Trey Hendrickson. I would love that as an Eagles fan. I don't necessarily see it happening, but they do need to consider getting a backup quarterback. Not a backup quarterback, a new quarterback. The Bengals do need to consider like making a change there, because I just don't think Jake Browning is it. Obviously, next week they have, let me see who they have real quick. Next week they have the Lions, which again is another. It's like, to be fair, it's hard to assess Jake Browning. To be fair, it is hard to assess Jake Browning when he is going against like some of the best defenses in the league. To be fair, and also the Lions defense is not the best defense, but they get after you. They get after you as a quarterback. They play with a lot of heart, a lot of soul, and they are tough defense. They're not as good as the Broncos and the Vikings, but they're tough. and it's not going to be easy time. So, like, they do need to consider moving on for Jake Browning, but I guess give him another week just to see. But it's not looking good, in my opinion. Bo Nix looked really good in this game, 29 for 42, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He looked solid. They looked as a whole, they just looked really comfortable in this game, and then the Bengals just straight up gave up essentially. And that's the only reason why I'm like consider getting a new quarterback, because if you're gonna just give up in the middle of the game because you realize you don't have it against this team, why is he out there then? It doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. It really doesn't. And they're just kind of wasting their time with Jake Browning. And, obviously there's some serious tension happening when you get this clip of Jamar Chase and Zach Taylor really, going at it because they're frustrated. So they're going to have to figure that out. J.K. Dobbins, the first ever 100-yard rusher for Sean Payton in the Broncos era, the first 100-yard rusher for the Broncos in the Sean Payton era, that's a big deal. That's a great thing. J.K. Dobbins has been J.K. Dobbins has been what I thought R.J. Harvey would be for them, but they figured out how to kind of balance them both. R.J. Harvey also had 14 carries, 58 yards in this game too. So they are using these running backs really well. And I just think that's good for them, and it's nice to see J.K. Dobbins back, healthy, doing stuff. They got playmakers all over this team, mainly on the defensive side, but they are just really good, and they know how to use their weapons and what their weapons are doing. And Cortland Sutton has had another underrated performance that people are probably not even going to pay attention to, but he's another 5 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. He was averaging 13.3 yards per target, 16.2 yards per reception. He is a big-time player that people just do not talk about. So I just like to shout that out. And it was a good game from the Broncos. They went in there and handled business against a team that is reeling, a team that doesn't have their leader, their top leader, and they did what they were supposed to do. So moving on to the next game. Green Bay versus Dallas. Now we're gonna get into the Sunday games, and I like to start off with the game that was the most fun to me to watch. This game definitely did give me the proverbial unsatisfying ending, but it was still a really good game. It was fun to watch just from both sides. And as an Eagles fan, it was hilarious to watch the Cowboys score 40 points only to still end up in a tie. I mean, Jesus Christ. But, and also as a proverbial, Micah Parsons, lover from a fan perspective, but hater from an Eagles perspective, it was just fun seeing this unsatisfying, no one really won, everybody has to shut up now about who won the trade sort of win here. It's just really funny. And so yeah, I would say the big takeaways I really got from this game was, one, Dallas is surviving off of just phenomenal quarterbacking play right now. Dak Prescott is having, I would say, an arguably similar season to what Joe Burrow had last year, where it was he's playing the best quarterback in the NFL right now, but he has a trash defense with not as much weapons as he really needs to really be super consistent, but they could score tons of points because he's so incredible as a player. It's actually more impressive because at least Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Dak Prescott is doing this right now with Jalen Tolbert and I can't even think, Kevontae Turpin. You know what I mean? Jake Ferguson's nice. Don't get me wrong. Jake Ferguson's a good tight end, but jeez. And his O-line has injuries on it. They don't got Cooper Beebe still. We got to give Dak credit. We got to give Dak credit. Can we have conversations about how he is in big games? Sure. We can have that same conversation with Lamar Jackson, right? big games, they don't always show up. But what they're doing during the regular season, what they're doing in games is incredible. We got to acknowledge it. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback, and I'm tired of, like, even as an Eagles fan, I hate admitting it, but at the same time, like, it's just really true. Like, he's a really good freaking quarterback, and we have to start acknowledging that in a way that's not always, like, undercutting his greatness. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott just had a really incredible game. 31 for 40. Oh, my God. 31 for 40. 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he had 1 sack. He had a passer rating of 124. And that's not to take away from Jordan Love, because Jordan Love also had an incredible game. 31 for 43, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, they pretty much had almost identical stat lines. I mean, it's just incredible. Both these guys, this was top-level quarterback play against really... I mean, I'm not going to say the Packers have a bad defense, but their defense played really, really bad in this game, and is so bad against bad defenses in this game. The Cowboys' defense is trash. We know that. The Packers' defense might just be inconsistent. They might be really inconsistent because I mean, I can understand if they were if they were at full strength and they had CeeDee Lamb and all that, but I mean, they're doing this with I forgot he had George Pickens. That's right. Dak Prescott also did have George Pickens. George Pickens is a solid wide receiver. I don't think he's on the same level as CeeDee Lamb, but that's the whole reason why they went and got George Pickens, right? So he can still be the other guy that he can throw to, right? But still, I mean, Javonte Williams is the running back, Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin. I mean, this is not, they're not facing the Eagles here. You know what I mean? Like, they're not facing a team that has a lot of weapons. So like it is concerning. If I'm a Packers fan, it is concerning. And if you just look at the history of the NFL, I mean, I looked it up. The last team to win a Super Bowl that had a tie in their record was the 1974 Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was at a different time where it was a shorter season and everything. So it was a different game, completely different time. In the modern era, there has been no team that has tied ever, whether it's a large scoring tie or a small tie, that has ever won a Super Bowl. So the odds of both of these teams now winning a Super Bowl, I mean, I'm not going to say it goes down just because of a tie, but it definitely is now in question. You know, it's like you shouldn't be tying. If you're the Packers, you shouldn't be tying against this Cowboys team. This Cowboys team is not very good, both, roster wise. I do like Brian. I think Brian Schottenheimer is in his bag. I think he's a really good play caller right now. I think what they're doing on offense is really good, but this defense is so incredibly terrible that you shouldn't really be struggling against them the way you did in this game. It's just not really. You should, like, the defense shouldn't be struggling like this, and you just shouldn't be in this game. Period. But it means a lot that the Cowboys are still. They got some fight in them. You know, Dak. As long as you got Dak Prescott and he's got at least one guy to throw to. He's gonna put you and keep you in games. Like, that's important. But Green Bay does need to reassess their defense. They're showing really, really big cracks, and this was something that I mentioned early in the season, like a few recaps ago. But they don't really have that good of a secondary. Their secondary is playing really well early on in the season, but they were kind of playing like out of their depth. I talked about this in my review of the Packers-Commanders game. Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine were playing way beyond their skis. So in my opinion, I was just like, so it was either Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine were going to have breakout seasons, or they were just kind of playing above their skis because they just got Micah Parsons. They're feeling like, we bad now. We got Micah Parsons. We got Rashawn Gary. Like, we're feeling tough now as a team. We're feeling secure. Are they still playing like solid enough to win a Super Bowl? Sure. And Jordan Love, if Jordan Love's going to play like that in every game, then they're going to play well. But I guarantee you he's not going to be facing the Dallas Cowboys defense in every game. That's for sure not. So, like, this is going to be a problem. I mean, we saw him last week against the Browns defense. And the Browns defense, that's probably the one thing the Browns can kind of hang their hat on is how good their defense is. And this week, I think the Packers have this week off. Yeah, the Packers have this week off, and then they come back against the Bengals, which that should be a win for them. So like eventually they are going to face a team that has a solid defense that is not going to be Cardinals. That's a solid defense right there, right? That's a solid defense. I don't think they're like this great defense that's unkillable, but they faced the Cardinals in week 7, right? That's, once you face, you're going to start facing, we're seeing that how good the overall team is does not necessarily matter for them actually being a team because they lost to the freaking Browns, right? You lose to the Browns and then you tie with the Cowboys back-to-back weeks. I mean, I'm concerned if I'm a Packers fan. I'm very concerned. And I'm just very concerned. You won against a Washington team and a Lions team, which those are contenders, but are you going to be one of these teams that maybe you're front runners where you downplay to competition or something like that? I don't know. But we'll see as the year goes on, really. But that's all I really got for the Green Bay-Dallas game. Dak is very good. Jordan's very good. But these defenses are... Cowboys' defense is just bad, and the Packers' defense might be playing down the competition every once in a while. But we'll see. Next game is Indianapolis versus the Colts. Indianapolis versus the Colts. Next game is Indianapolis versus Los Angeles. This was an incredible game. This was a really fun game to watch, like an overall fun game to watch. I mean, what can I say about Puka that I haven't said? I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, but Puka Nacua is the arguably the best wide receiver of football right now. Like, he is the best wide receiver of football. 13 receptions. He had 13 receptions in this game. Like, let me get to the full stat line. 13 receptions for he had 13 receptions for 170 yards and a touchdown. He was averaging 13.1 receptions per yards per reception. This guy's incredible. Him and Stafford are playing really, really well right now. They got great chemistry, but also Puka is just incredible, dude. Incredible. Like, I mean, he's staking his claim for best wide receiver in the NFL right now. And it's really just how Sean McVay uses him. It's how Sean McVay uses him, and it's just he gets so much out of him. And they make incredible music together, and it's just fun to watch Puka Nacua succeed and just be this great wide receiver in this offense. But, I mean, a lot of people I feel like are going to use this moment, too, to, like, downplay the Colts and be like, oh, well, we told you the Colts can't really play against competition. I still think the Colts are good. I thought they played really well in this game. I think JT, Jonathan Taylor's been playing really, really well for them, and they have a good defense. So I think this team will still be competitive. Maybe they're not the Super Bowl contender that we might have thought they were, but they definitely are still one of those teams, like, if things bounce the right way, if they get certain things going on, they can still keep succeeding, So I think this team is going to be very good. So yeah, that's all I really got for that team. For this game is Puka Nacua is phenomenal, and the Colts are just a well-run team with some solid players and good defense, and they can get you if you're not ready. Matt Stafford, I think, is playing the best ball of his career right now, or some of the best ball he's played in his entire career. And he's like he said in the mic'd up, he's a dog. He's a dog. Like he's a dog. Puka's a dog, and I just think both these teams are just really fun to watch. And we do need to start having, though. I just remembered something else I wanted to say. We do need to start having a conversation about, like, Adonai Mitchell, right? Because he had a solid game, right? Three catches for 96 yards, but he just keeps having these moments that range between boneheaded to just, like, plain, like, lack of effort. He's had effort moments this year where he's dropped passes where you're just like, you could have caught that. And then this moment where he's going to the end zone and he wants to showboat, because that's a showboat move when you hang it over the the goal line to get it first. It's like when you could have just ran past the goal line. There was literally no reason for you to take it and switch it out of your arm or anything like that. It wasn't like somebody was trying to strip him or anything. He just straight up screwed up, right? Ball goes out of the end zone. It's a touchback. They give the ball right back to the Rams when and then they end up losing the game by 7 points. You know, like that's 7 points you could have had that you ended up giving up to the Rams, right? So it's just he's I feel like he's got skills, but he just keeps doing these really boneheaded headassery things that are just like, when is he going to stop doing that? But we'll see as time goes on, as the year goes on. But I think the Rams are still a real like contender. I don't fully trust them completely, but I think they're a real contender, and I think the Colts are a solid, fun team, and I think they're going to be continually fun to watch, and Daniel Jones is going to be fun to watch. They have a great coach, and we'll see more from them as the year goes on, but this was probably one of my favorite games of the week. Next game is Jacksonville versus San Francisco. This was a interesting game on a lot of different levels. One, this game just proved something about the Jacksonville's defense. Like, they can win a lot of games off of just defense. Their defense is really, really good. Very, very good. They are doing some truly incredible stuff over there. The Jags defense right now is top 5 in DVOA, and they're top 5 in EPA. They've also forced 13 turnovers in the last 4 games. You got Devin Lloyd putting on a first-team All-Pro candidate performance. In 4 games, he's had 23 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 PBUs, 1 fumble recovery. It's a dog. Anthony Campanella's defense has just been incredible, right? So you have to acknowledge this with this team. They're playing really good ball against some pretty bad teams, but this was their first solid team they played against the 49ers. They got a lot of injuries, but we'll see. And now they got the Chiefs coming up this week. That's going to be a fun litmus test to see how good they're going to be. I'm still concerned about the offense. I still have my trepidations about Trevor Lawrence. I just don't think he's bad. Just not like a huge fan of his. I mean, he had a solid game, 21 for 31, 174 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, just saying, if Jalen Hurts had that stat line, people would be giving him crap, right? So I just think they're kind of surviving off of defense right now, and I don't know how much their offense can really elevate enough for them to be like serious contenders or serious, killers. But I like Liam Cohen's energy. I like him calling out Robert Saleh for insinuating that he was cheating, which that's what Robert Saleh was doing. Can we stop at, can we sidebar for a second? Can we acknowledge that that's what Robert Saleh was doing? Like he was low key backhanded complimenting, trying to say that like they were cheating. And then Kyle Shanahan echoed the same freaking sentiment. And now after that whole situation where he's got to stop being so sensitive, I'm like, you basically accused the guy of cheating when what you said that he was doing was pretty much something that all these teams do all over the place. But anyway, it's just that 49ers team gets on my nerves. Like Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh, they're just these heads up their ass type guys who I just think they're like God's gift to football, but it's just annoying listening to them talk. It's like you clearly accused the guy of cheating, and he has something to say about it, and now you guys want to gaslight and act like, well, he's the one being sensitive. It's like, no, you accused him of cheating. Go. You stick it where the sun don't shine, if you ask me. But anyway, your defense is just playing really well right now. They forced 3 turnovers in this game, and they made Brock Purdy look not great. I'm gonna be honest with you. Also, I'm a little concerned with Brock Purdy right now, and I know he's, we're hearing like he's got that injury, he's got that toe thing, so I know that he's got an injury he's dealing with, but he looked not great in this game. He's getting a lot of yardage, he's still getting the touchdowns, but he just looks so off to me. He ended up finishing the game 22 to 38, 22 completions, 38 attempts. 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got sacked once. But he had 2 interceptions in this game, and he had a forced fumble. Or he had a fumble lost, right? So, like, he just, I don't know. He looks off. He looks like he's regressing to me a little bit. But You got him regressing. You got Pearsall emerging, but injuries are expanding. They continue to have injuries. They got two more, that would involve both those guys today that I'm going to talk about later in the show. But it's just they're injury riddled, and if they were healthy, they would be good. But I'm also just concerned about Brock Purdy as an individual player himself. But we'll see as time goes on. They're still 3-1. They got the Rams tomorrow. That's going to be a fun game. I think I forgot who I picked in that game, but we'll see in the picks. But that's going to be a fun game. Jacksonville's 3-1. Let's see which one of these teams is a real 3-1 as time goes on. My money is probably on Jacksonville, but also they got their own issues that I can see from a mile away as well. But moving on to the next game, and that's my Birds, Philly versus Tampa Bay. Now, there's so much to say about this thing, right? I'm going to start out with Tampa Bay because as an Eagles fan, I obviously have so much more to say about the Eagles. But let me bring up start with Tampa Bay. Baker's not playing his best ball right now, right? And I know everybody wants to, they love Baker, and I love Baker too. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL, to be honest. He's got so much dog in him. He's so tough. He's a great player. But I don't think he's playing his best ball right now. I think he's playing with a very gunslinger mentality, which is good. It can be good. But he's also playing in a very loose, sort of dangerous way. And we saw today that can lead to some issues. I mean, Baker giveth and Baker taketh away, right? Both those throws he had, those two 70-yard touchdowns that he scored that brought them back into the game, they were risky throws. The first one was kind of risky. Jihad could have jumped it. Or no, the first one was kind of risky to Mecca. A Blankenship almost got there, and it was literally bang, bang. It literally could have been blocked, right? Or it could have been knocked down, but it didn't, and they got it through to Mecca, and they scored a touchdown. And then the second one to Bucky, Jihad had the space to kind of get there, but how long is Jihad really expected to cover Bucky Irvin? I mean, he was covering for it felt like 20 minutes, dude. It was so long he was covering that kid. So, they got kind of lucky on the defensive end to kind of get back into the game. And obviously, the Eagles' offense were doing them no favors in the second half. We'll talk more about that in a second. But it wasn't like he was really taking over in this game. He was struggling a lot. They were over reliant on trying to get it to Chris Godwin, and it was Chris Godwin, one, is just coming back from injury, doesn't have the same gear, seems like it right now. We'll see if that progresses or if it stays that way. But also, Quinyon Mitchell was pretty much locking up Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka all game. So it's just, it was something where I feel like Baker's just Baker is kind of just such a gunslinger that he makes these big plays, but it can lead to bad things as well, which led to the kind of ending of this game. But let's take it to the Birds, because I got a lot to say about them before I even get to the AJ stuff. But the offense is so weird to me. It's so weird because it's when they're on, there's a nugget of man, this offense can be really, really good when they're on. This offense can be really, really good when they're on. Two halves, the last half of the Rams game last week, the first half of this game, looked like the best offense in the league. Quite frankly, they were killing it. Kevin Patullo's game play calling in the red zone has been incredible. They're 11-0 in the red zone, or 14-0, but they haven't had a trip to the red zone where they have not scored a touchdown. So the offense, there's a great offense in there somewhere, and it's mainly based on the run game, but the run game is terrible right now. It's truly really bad right now. And it's not really Saquon is taking a step back. When you watch Saquon, he's still got good burst. He's still got good movement. He's still Saquon. It's the O-line. There's the wear and tear of last season We're seeing it more show up through the O-line and less through Saquon. Landon Dickerson is playing really poorly. He's playing with an injury. He's had an injury so far the whole season. Cam Jurgens had knee surgery over the offseason. He's not been playing up to his standard. Tyler Steen has been playing well, but it's still like he's not playing as well as Mekhi Becton did. And then Lane Johnson and Mailata have been fantastic, but Lane Johnson's been in and out of the lineup constantly, right? Like it's 2 games in a row where he's had to leave the game because of some sort of injury that he suffered. And Fred Johnson had to come in. So there's clearly just they have inconsistency on the offensive line, but they just they're not playing up to that level. And I think so much of their offense has been predicated on running the ball and, passing to get up, running to stay to keep the lead, right? That now that running game is not coming to them so easily, they seem to be having a hard time adjusting. And my issue that I have with them is that they don't have a plan for this. And that's the biggest problem and has kind of been the problem with the Nick Sirianni coach team and with, the OCs as of late. It's they know what they're doing when everything's going perfectly. When everything's not going perfectly, what are they doing, right? And that has been the issue with this squad. So it's when the run game's not coming to them, they just keep hammering it instead of sprinkling it throughout and mixing it up, instead of adding new things, instead of letting Jalen and AJ and Devontae, which in my opinion, I think Jalen and AJ and Devontae, I think Jalen has taken a step forward as a quarterback. I think he's very clearly, even though he had a bad half in this game, but he's very clearly a different and better, smarter quarterback. He's seeing the field more clearly. He's moving guys with his eyes. He's getting through his progressions quickly. He's seeing the field really, really well. But you keep giving him these offensive plays that are so predictable and so poorly constructed. The same route concepts with each other, stick with they had a smash constantly. They just keep running stick and smash constantly. It's the same it's the same stuff. And they run these 2x2 sets. Everybody's aware of it, and we all know that you're passing out of shotgun. We all know that you're running out of pistol. They're just running a really just predictable offense. I mean, it's very clear when they're going to run. It's very clear when they're going to pass. And then on top of all of that, the offensive line is not playing as well as they can. I mean, even with a predictable offense, I mean, you can argue that the Eagles' offense was predictable last year. You can argue it was predictable in 2023. You can argue it's been predictable for the last 4 years. But they still were able to get stuff off. So I do think the O-line not playing up to its ability is really hurting this team, along with the fact that the offense is predictable. And I do think at some point we have to evolve. And AJ said this at the end of last season, right? To take it to AJ now. He said this at the end of last season when we hired Kevin Patullo, and it was announced we hired Kevin Patullo, and they were doing exit interviews and they were leaving. He said, all that really matters is if we evolve. We have to evolve, right? So we can't keep spending time saying this person's wrong, that person's wrong, whose fault is it, all of this stuff, right? The problem is that we are not evolving as the system is not evolving. And meanwhile, I think Jalen Hurts is probably playing the best ball he's ever played, where looks really clean, he looks really locked in. He looks like he's seeing the field well, but he just is being given the same stuff, and every team is just sniffing it out, right? Yes, he had this bad half, but at a certain point, he took that big hit. It looked like he was off. I don't want to say he had a concussion because I'm not going to diagnose anybody. Maybe it was something else with his shoulder or something. Because after he took that big hit, it was a noticeable difference in his accuracy, noticeable difference in him missing throws. And he's not one to miss throws. He's one to turn down something, not see an open player, leave the pocket too early. But he's not one of those guys who's gonna just flat out missed throws. He's not one of those dudes. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, like consistently accurate. That just the way he was playing in that second half felt like there was more going on in his body, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to diagnose anything. But he played poorly in that last half. But I also think that like the Buccaneers started doing a lot more zone blitzing. They started doing a lot more zone reads instead of man reads, which that has become a thing where the Eagles don't have answers for that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Jalen's supposed to do something about that. What is Jalen supposed to do other than run the play? He runs through his progression. That's what he does. All he can do is possibly run. But if they got him under contained on the O-line, then on the D-line, there's not much he can really do. So a lot of things just seem really out of sync and out of whack, and they don't really have any answers for the different looks that certain teams are showing them, right? So we're just going to have to see. We're just gonna have to hope that they do it. I'm more concerned about the run game than I am about the passing game. To really take it to AJ now, you have people getting frustrated with this tweet by AJ. Where this tweet, he's talked about it now, but and we're gonna go over that as well. But this tweet where he posted a screenshot from his Bible app of Mark 6:11. And it's the Mark 6:11, and it's the verse where it said, "If you're not welcome, not listened to, quietly withdraw. Don't make a scene, shrug your shoulders, and be on your way." So I'm sure that many people took that, and I also took that myself as, oh my God, this guy he feels like he's not being listened to. And if your star player feels like he's not being listened to, that's a problem, right? But it just feels to me like he's frustrated. And he wants more of a role, or he wants not necessarily get thrown to more. He wants to be the lead dog that like when the chips are down and the offense is struggling and everything's struggling, that he is the guy that they lean on. And that I say that that's what he's thinking based off of what he said in his interview today with like at his locker room after practice. He said here, first statement of the day from him, obviously Sunday after the game, I let my frustrations boil over. I didn't speak to the media. I had a chance to correct my frustrations, and I continue to let it boil over, and that's on me. I take full accountability on that. My message on Twitter wasn't directed at anyone in the building, and of course, not my quarterback, my GM, nobody. I take full accountability. I have open communication with all of my coaches and with my quarterback as well. Me and my coaches, KP, Nick, we discuss weekly about trying to stay on the same page. That to me rings as like true, but not all the way true. I do think it was directed at those specific people, but I don't think he's going to get anything from saying who it was directed to in that quote there. So next quote is, I think it's normal to have frustrations because of this standard that we hold to ourselves too. We have a lot of talent on our offense, and to be honest, our defense and special teams have been low-key carrying us. It's just like we need to clean up what we need to clean up and get on the same page and play to the ability that we say that we can and be who we are called to be. It's a standard that we preach, so it's easy to have that frustration. It's fair to have that frustration. Like I said, I can't let that boil over. So obviously that quote is more towards like what they expect from themselves, right? And he expects a lot from themselves. Like they expect a lot from themselves. So they asked him also if he's happy here, right? He said, absolutely, this is my home. This is my home. Unfortunately, I did it to myself. I won't say unfortunately, I did it to myself. This is my home. I love it here. But you just see frustration because we want to be great. And most definitely, I want to be great as well. I saw some people trying to make that seem like it was a Freudian slip, like unfortunately he's not here anymore or he doesn't want to be here. And he's just lying. But I see that more as him trying to say like he did it to himself, as he brought this view that people have of him now not wanting to be here or whatever. He brought that on himself. So it's nice accountability there to him, to acknowledging that he's the one who created the drama here. It's not like anyone else did that. He's the one who did that. So, and then on AJ wanting the football, I don't think it's a bad thing to want the football. It's not just for targets or anything or to put numbers up. I see that we're struggling, and I'm the guy that wants the ball in those times. When we can't find a way, give it to me. Like when the game's on the line, give the ball to me. I want it. I want that pressure. I put it on myself, and I work hard for it. I respect that. I respect that personally. That's what the misconception is through whatever perspective. And I don't care to be honest. I don't care to be honest because my teammates know when the game's on the line, look at me. I want everyone in the stadium to know that. That's not a secret. I'm not shying away from that. That's where you're seeing that frustration, that hunger comes out. Get the ball to me. I'm going to open up the game, and we're going to get this thing going. You can put it on my back. Now, I understand that a lot of people will probably see that and go, well, we did throw it to you 6 times in the second half. You couldn't catch it. But Jalen was kind of forcing the ball to him at that moment. That wasn't him. That wasn't like, oh, a lot of those plays, when you look at those plays, they were designed to not go to AJ. Jalen was kind of forcing it to him at the end of that game, right? Where they were just like, it wasn't really plays that AJ was necessarily supposed to be getting the ball there, but it was just like, AJ's our guy, let's give it to him. I think AJ's also is telling them, like, give me opportunities in new ways. Give me the ball in new ways so I can go and work. Like, don't put me in positions where I'm going to be covered. Like, leave me available. Like, go to me. Like, trust me to handle this. Call plays and targets specifically for me. And let's put the game on my back. I am that type of player. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He is that type of player. Personally, I think AJ kind of handled this perfectly. He said all the things we want to hear, but he also didn't kind of make it worse. He just said, look, I take ownership for being frustrated and tweeting that out. But at the same time, I want y'all to know, like, put that thing on me. Put it on me. Like, put the game on me, right? So I think he handled it perfectly. With Jalen Hurts afterwards was asked about what AJ said and what's going on with AJ. And Jalen himself, Jalen's not going to give you much. And I love that about Jalen personally. I think Jalen just be like, whatever. Jalen Hurts on his reaction to AJ. This is the EJ Smith tweet. Jalen Hurts on his reaction to AJ Brown's social media post. I'm not going to analyze or speculate on it. I think he's always one to contribute, and that remains. Onward, everyone is focused on trying to get better. Everyone is present here trying to improve. Jalen Hurts on how he handles frustration from teammates is one of the prominent leaders of the Eagles. You just got to focus and keep the main thing. And this is also on him having extra conversations when frustrations boil over with AJ. We just focus on the work. So when they have problems, we just focus on the work. And then when asked how his relationship is with AJ, he said it's good. And they asked to elaborate. He said, we share a great passion for the game and we're focused on this week. This is just what it is, right? And then they asked Jordan Mailata about it, and Jordan Mailata said last week's drama is just last week's drama. Have we addressed it as teammates? Yes, but we're going to keep that in-house. As far as the rest of the locker room, we're moving on to this week. So it just seems like it reminds me a lot of what happened last year after the whole passing comment with AJ saying passing after the Panthers game, and then the next week the whole week everyone was complaining, going crazy. Then there was the quote from BG saying that him and AJ used to be really close, but they're not that close anymore. I really don't care how close they are as long as they keep winning games. That's between them personally, in my opinion. So it's just more like you don't have to be close to have connection on the field. This is the NFL. Like, you guys are professionals, be professionals. That's what they do. I think they're still way better together with AJ. I think they need to focus on getting AJ the ball more, especially seeing as the run game is struggling to get going. They need to figure it out, but they're not going to figure it out by hammering. They're going to figure it out by finding the other places in which they can succeed. So hopefully they do that in this game against the Broncos coming up, but we'll see going forward. But now that drama's out of the way, I think this team can be really good. And I think the Eagles showed again that they're a great team that is going to take a lot to take them out. I mean, they finally killed this demon, this dragon, this dragon in Tampa that they've been dealing with for the last few years. They finally beat them in a serious game, and they played really well. I mean, Jalen, I think, played fairly well in the first half. In the second half, he was struggling, but he finished the game 15 for 24, 130 yards, 2 TDs, 2 sacks, and 104.5 rating, right? So I think they played really well, and this was a solid performance by their offense for a half, but it was really more on the defense. This defense is crazy. Jihad Campbell and Andrew Makuba made plays. Andrew Makuba also still like had that moment where he lost track of the ball, but they both together just made plays. Jihad had the winning interception, and they just got like a really good team building over there. And I think the Buccaneers are dealing with a ton of injuries, right? So I spent enough time on this game. It was a good game, fun game. Eagles won anyway, so time to move on. Moving on now to Chicago versus Las Vegas. Let me get to my notes for that. Yeah, the Bears are just stacking wins, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was talking about last week. This could be an opportunity for them to stack wins and to come out of to just start stacking wins and start getting their offense going against bad teams, especially bad defenses. The Cowboys, they had the Cowboys last week. Now they got they had the Raiders this week, right? So they just need to keep stacking wins. The offense looked cleaner this week. It was fun to watch them play as well. Their offense is really starting to gel, and it's starting to, we're starting to see why people wanted, Ben Johnson so badly, right? And then you got Caleb Williams out here. He had a great, I think he had a solid stat line. 22 for 37, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also had 8 carries for 13 yards here. I thought Caleb Williams showed a solid day. It was more of a day of him showing like him being a leader, and that is what we need to see. So it's nice to see the Bears start stacking these wins. As far as the Raiders go, like, are we done with this Geno Smith business? Because I mean, there's 2 games in a row he's had 3 interceptions. He's not very good, man. He's been really bad this year. 14 for 21, 117 yards, 2 TDs, and 3 interceptions. It's a rating of 73. I just thought Geno looked really bad in this game. Did not look great. But we did, to keep it on the positives for the Raiders, we did have a great performance from Ashton Jeanty. We had his first big breakout game, which 21 carries for 138 yards. 1 TD. He's finally back to the standing up position. I don't know why they were asking him to change how he was playing anyway, but it's just funny to me too. Like Pete Carroll was like, I think it's awesome that he's back in the stand. Weren't you the one that told him not to do that? But it's just whatever. But I think he's playing well right now. I think he's been killing it. He had that 1 fumble in the game. He's got to learn to hold the ball better, but he's doing really well. They looked great. Brock Bowers looked a little cleaner, but I still feel like he's dealing with something this game. I mean, in this season. So it's just been a struggle for the Raiders, but at least Ashton Jeanty looks really good. Also wanted to shout out Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze looked pretty good in this game as well. Again, he's been having a really good year. Him and Caleb have a really good chemistry, so that's really good. But great win by the Bears. The Raiders have a lot to figure out, but great win by the Bears. Moving on to the next game. Washington versus Atlanta. Now, Washington, let me get to my notes first. Washington they need Jaden back like really bad, but again, this is not me hating on Jalen because, I'm sure many people will look at an Eagles fan saying, oh, you're just hating on Jaden. I think Jaden is very good. I don't know how much better he's going to make this team right now. I just don't think he will. And now we're hearing, they had Debo, Terry McLaurin, and Noah Brown didn't practice today. So that's a problem going forward. They just have a ton of injuries. And their defense friggin' sucks, man. Like, defense is not very good. It's old. It's showing its age. They're slow. They just look very much like they're not built to be a real championship team. And they're barely even built to win this division. I mean, I could see them, scratching their way back into the division. And if the Eagles, like, that offensive problem becomes like a real problem, it can become, serious. And I could see them kind of like sneaking their way back into winning the division. I can always see that because of the NFC East. But overall, Washington is a problem. Their defense is really bad. And their O-line is not great. And I don't know how much Jaden's going to change that, because even when Jaden was playing, he wasn't playing all that well, right? So, he's going to continue to take hits. I mean, look at this injury now. Like, he's probably going to be back this coming week. against they're playing the Chargers this week, which is a hell of a place to come back in, even though the Chargers are struggling. More on them later. But you got Mariota out here who's playing, I feel like, decently. He's playing okay. 16 for 27, 156 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, 84.8 rating. Like, it's solid, right? Like, he's not doing anything crazy. He had 2 runs for 20 yards. Like, he's keeping them steady, but their defense is just so bad that there's not much you can really do. I mean, they need Jaden back, but the defense is bad, and I just don't know how much he's really going to help them. To move on to Atlanta, it's nice to see that Penix had a really good bounce back game, because he was really bad against the Panthers. Like, he was really bad against the Panthers, and I would argue that the Panthers defense is probably I mean, I don't even know if it would be coached better. I mean, I feel like they're pretty much on the same par. Like, they're like well-coached defenses that don't have the dogs. They don't have the horses to really be like a big-time team or for their defense to be killers, right? So, but it's nice to still see him bounce back in this game. 20 for 26, 313 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He took 1 sack, 126 rating. He had a really good game. He was spreading the ball around. Drake May had 8 for 110. Kyle Pitts had 5 for 70 and a touchdown. Great game. Bijan Robinson also 4 receptions for 106 yards. Bijan, again, OPOY. I'm just going to keep saying that every time we talk about Bijan. But it's nice to see Penix having a better game this game, because it seems like at least that shows, like, hey, he can have a bad game, but he can bring himself back from it and be like, hey, let's lock in. Because I would say Washington is probably on par with what Carolina was last week. So that was maybe just a bad game from Penix, and it's nice to see him bounce back. So that's a good thing for them. It probably takes a lot off their mind, because if he would have been stacking terrible games back to back, now that's a conversation. If he's erratic, it's like we can kind of coach the erraticness out of him. Possibly. We'll see. But yeah, that's kind of all I had on that game. Nice to see Penix bounce back. Washington's not very good, and Jaden's going to help them a lot, but I don't know how much he's going to help them. I don't know if it's going to be as much as I think. But on to the Baltimore-Kansas City game. Everyone's asking this question about if Baltimore's window is closing, and they're also starting to have these conversations about Lamar. I don't think their window is closing, but their defense is definitely terrible. Their defense is injury ridden, and there's injury news in the injury news section or segment I'm going to talk about as well. That's a big hit to bigger hit to their defense. Their defense is just not very good. They're just an injury ridden. I wouldn't say poorly coached. I think they're just really, really injury ridden, and they're not getting the performances out of older vets that they want. I mean, Jair Alexander played a little bit in the first game. We haven't heard from him since. Marlon Humphrey looks like he is pretty much cooked, and Roquan Smith is still very good. The young guys are trying to figure it out too with Nate Wiggins. You haven't heard much out of Mike Green. It's just their defense is just not up to snuff this year. And now they have like a ton of injuries. And Lamar getting this hamstring injury sucks. Is he going to be out? Is he going to be back next week? I don't know. Either way, they're not really doing all that well with or without him. So that's a big problem. And I just think that, we already know the question about Lamar in big games is a real question. I think it's okay to question him there. I think it's stupid when we're questioning him in the regular season. If the team is struggling in the regular season, it's not usually going to be Lamar Jackson's fault, right? So we have to keep it in perspective when we're talking about the Ravens. He was 14 for 20, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He didn't finish the game. Cooper Rush finished the game with 9 for 13, 52 yards. They just were getting their butts whooped, right? And the Chiefs were just sick of the nonsense, right? The Chiefs just wanted to go out there and just be like, hey, we still the Chiefs, right? So you had Patrick Mahomes go out there and ball again, like 25 for 37, 270 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 sack, 124.8 rating. They just balled out. They really just balled out and just said, hey, we want to do this. Xavier Worthy had 5 receptions for 83 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had a touchdown. Marquise Brown had a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco had a receiving touchdown. Tyquan Thornton had a receiving touchdown. Right, and Travis Kelce was 5 for 48. Right, so I think they just really wanted to show their offense now that they got Worthy back, and they just wanted to prove to themselves, like, hey, we still them dudes. Like, we're still it's still Chiefs Kingdom out here, right? So they just wanted to put it on. I think they were going to drop 37 on whoever they played. To be honest with you, I just think that's what they wanted to do. And as far as the Ravens not being able to compete in this game, it's just their defense can't do anything. And the Ravens offense it's Lamar Jackson and some guys that are really good, like Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, but none of those guys are really transformers like a AJ Brown or something like that, right? So it's just they need more, but they also need their defense to be healthy. I mean, I'm not one of these people that's going to crap on Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL if we're talking about just skill level. But he does have questions around him about how he performs in big games, and that I think those are real. I think those are real questions to ask. But I just don't think that's the question you should be coming away from in this game. In this game, you should be coming away from this going, man, their defense sucks. Their defense is bad, and they're not going anywhere with that defense. But nice to see the Chiefs back performing. Worthy really allowed them to open up that playbook, and it was really cool to see them do it. And they're still the Chiefs, so that's a problem. On to the next game. We are talking about Cleveland versus Detroit. Cleveland versus Detroit. I didn't really have much to say about this one. This was thoroughly just kind of like Detroit being like, we're the better team, and let's just like destroy these guys. It's funny that this is what I wrote when I was watching the game. It's time to make a QB change. Flacco was cooked, and again, I'm on point with this because this is the second time I've said that in the next week the team has changed their decision, right? So Jackson Dart last week with the Giants, and this week is Dylan Gabriel. I'll talk more about Dylan Gabriel specifically later, but the Cleveland just is not very good right now on offense. They don't have much, but their defense is quite good. And we're keeping up with the Detroit Lions early on. They were keeping it close. But Lions are the Lions, and they're just like, Lions might arguably be the best team in the NFL right now. Like, I think they might. I'm still not going to put them number one in my power rankings because I'm just not going to do that until the Eagles lose a game. But as far as consistency, the Lions have shown the most consistency, I would say. I think their defense is not great, but it's very tough, and they play hard. But I think their offense is just incredible. So, their offense has so many weapons. They use them in very creative ways and very fun ways. Man, I wonder what that's like. But they just use them, and they're just so unstoppable, and it doesn't really matter what their defense does sometimes, right? So, because they're just so hard to beat. And as we saw that last game against the Ravens, their defense didn't play like phenomenally, but they just are so well coached and so well put together on the offensive end that they're just going to keep stuffing points. They're just going to keep getting points, keep racking up points. And they did that against the Browns here, 34-10. Put them out of their misery. The Browns need to change their quarterback, but the Detroit Lions are just chugging along. It feels like they're kind of on, I wouldn't say cruise control right now, but they're definitely just really comfortable with what they have right now. Jared Goff looks really comfortable. They all just look really comfortable right now. But we'll see if it continues with the Lions, because again, it's still early in the season. You never want to make too grand of a statement for any of these guys too early, but it sure is nice seeing a team having a ton of weapons and using them to their full capabilities. Anyway, moving on to the next game. New Orleans versus the Buffalo Bills. This is also another one that I didn't have much to say about just because it was cut. Well, a little more, but it's a blowout. You know what was surprising in this game? The Saints showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of heart. They were keeping it close with the Bills early on. Kellen Moore didn't have them out there just kind of playing like some bums. They're not playing like a team that thinks that they're as bad as their record is. You know, they're not playing like, a team that doesn't believe in themselves, which is a hard thing to do when you are 0-4 and you've been really bad, like really bad. So, and especially if you're going into a game against the Bills, who are arguably the Eagles and the Lions are arguably each one of them have a case to be the best team in the NFL, right? So they came in this game with some attitude and kept it close, and the Bills really just kind of pulled away towards the end. The score doesn't really tell the full game. I mean, the Bills definitely dominated towards the end, but the Saints kept it close, and they showed a lot of heart. But the Bills are kind of on cruise control right now. They just know who they can beat. They also, who the hell made the Bills schedule? Because I'm mad. Why every time we get a schedule, we got all these crazy stuff. And then you look at the Bills, and it's like, you got the Ravens, which, yeah, that's a crazy game. That is Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, Falcons, Panthers. Then they got the Chiefs, so that's good. But Dolphins, I mean, granted, their whole division is terrible. So when you have a bad division, you're always gonna have some easier games. That's like 6 games on your or 5 games at least on your schedule that are pretty easy. But they're also, even the teams that they got that are from that are not in their division are like, how did you get these teams? How'd you get the Saints, man? That sucks. Oh, because you got the Falcons. But also, then they get the NFC South, which is a terrible division. It's just, this schedule is just it's super easy for them. I'm going to be honest with you. They have one serious game that they have to face, which is against the Eagles, and the Chiefs are probably their 2 biggest or hardest games going forward. Maybe the Buccaneers game gets kind of crazy, but they have a super easy schedule. So they're just on cruise control. Stack these wins. Don't do too much. Get to the playoffs. That seems to be what they're at right now, which is a good strategy. And it's the best way to do it. Keep going, Buffalo Bills. And that's pretty much all I got for that game. Next game is Patriots-Panthers. I have a lot to say about this game, but not really about the game itself. It's more about the 2 teams. I mean, I would say, to keep it to the game first, Carolina's first drive was pretty good. I thought their first drive on offense and defense was pretty good. They went out there, scored pretty quickly, and then they went out there and on the defense got a quick 3-and-out. And they were solid, and then their O-line just fell apart. Their O-line just couldn't handle it for the rest of the game, and they just didn't have it to keep up. I feel like there's a great Panthers team in there somewhere, but they just don't have the dogs. They don't have the horses. They got a few. I think Bryce Young is still pretty good. He's not playing well right now, but he's also forcing it a lot too. He's kind of the only thing. Him and Tet are the only thing that team really has, and he's just kind of forcing it. So that O-line is bad and just fell apart and just was trash. But it's also because the Patriots D-line is very good. That's the other thing I want to say about the Patriots D-line. Their D-line is incredible. Milton Williams has really been showing up for them, which is really good. I'm glad that he's not proving himself to just be a product of the Eagles D-line and playing with Jalen Carter, but he's been making a name for himself on his own. He's really good. Their Harold Landry has been playing very well for a guy who's as old as he is. And then you also on the offensive end or special teams, let's take it to special teams because Marcus Jones had an incredible day. He had 2 big time returns, one for a touchdown. And then to take it to offense, Drake May has low-key been playing out of his mind, and I feel like people haven't really been noticing it. It's starting to get talked about amongst the internet, Twitter, blue sky nerds who are talking about football every day, all day. But I think the average person is probably not noticing Drake May right now, but he's been having an incredible season so far. I mean, he only threw the ball 17 times in this game, 14 for 17. He only missed 3 passes, 203 yards, averaged 11.9 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, and he had 155.6 QB rating. He was really, really good in this game. Travion Henderson was very good in this game. I just think Drake May, when the season's done, we might be talking about Drake May in the same conversation as the way we were talking about Justin Herbert, right? where it's like, this is a really good quarterback who just can't get it done in these big moments. The only difference is that he would be like the quarterback who hasn't a chance to do that unless they make it to the playoffs and then he gets a chance to show in the playoffs. They're 2-2. They can still make the playoffs. They got the Bills. Bills are going to be a good litmus test for them next week. So like, I keep your eye on Drake May throughout the season. He's a fun Sunday ticket watch. I will say that he's a fun Sunday ticket watch. Moving on to the next game, Tennessee versus Houston. Now I have so much problems with both of these teams. I have a lot of problems with both of these teams. I'm upset at them for many different things. I'm going to start with Houston because I'm less upset at them. But their offense is terrible. Their offense is like really bad. I mean, I know you look at this game and you're like, oh, well, they scored 26 points. I'm like, yeah, it took them 4 quarters. I don't even think they scored their first points until like the start of the second quarter, right? Like they are not a well-run offense right now. CJ Stroud is struggling. That offensive line is struggling. They are not a well-built offense right now, not a well-coached offense, and not a well-called offense. They are really bad, and they have some good players like Woody Marks and Woody Marks and CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud, I think we're officially in regression mode with him. We're officially in like alert, send the alarm bells off. He might be regressing situation here because he's just not playing all that well. Like, I think with the weapons you have, minus that O-line, you should have put up like 40 points against this team. Their defense is trash. It's really bad. And there's no reason for you guys to only put up 26 and to struggle to put up points for like a whole quarter against this team. And it's just their O-line is not very good and it's holding them back. But it's not just O-line. It's also everyone's play is subpar. CJ Stroud seems like he's not playing as well. Even when it's there for him and the O-line's not, giving him a chance, he's playing poorly. Right? And then, it's just and then Nick Caley's calling terrible games. I just really hate their offense and it's really bad and it makes me upset. But Tennessee's like crimes against football. When you watch them, it's like crimes against football. You watch them and it's just like, it's bad. It's like really, really bad. They need to just fire Callahan already and stop wasting Cam Ward's rookie season. Try to go to somebody else, see what's happening. I mean, he had the quote of the week. Let me just play that for you guys real quick.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have this point. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So,
I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, they are ass. They are the worst team in the NFL by like a country mile. Like it's really, really bad. And I mean, they're bad on every phase too, like from the coaching, from the execution of plays, like every level they're bad except Cam Ward has a lot of raw athleticism that doesn't really seem to be getting coached up. And I think he can be a really good player. They just need a coach in there. And this is, again, another example of one of these cash poor teams making things harder for themselves by leaving a lame duck coach in there with a rookie quarterback and then not really caring how the game actually goes, just caring about selling jerseys, pretty much. Like, you can sell a bunch of Cam Ward jerseys, right? Because new quarterback, you're going to sell a bunch of those, but does it really matter if you don't really maximize him and turn him into a star? I mean, this team is it's just really sad from top to bottom. They're operating poorly. GM, owner, GM, coach, offensive line, quarterback doesn't really seem like, he's getting coached up well. Just bad, bad, bad all around. That's really all there is to say about this team. It's really sad and it's honestly depressing, and I'm moving on. And now we're going to start with the Chargers versus the Giants game. This was a surprising game for me. Because two reasons. One, I thought Jackson Dart looked really good in this game. I thought I didn't think he looked like game changing or franchise changing or anything, but I thought he looked quite just ready for the moment. He looked pretty poised to me. He just looked like locked in, right? And he made good decisions. He used his run. He found his run lanes when he needed to. I thought he struggled a little bit with his accuracy. It's funny that he literally said that he models his game after Jalen Hurts, because that's literally how I felt when I was watching him. It was like poised but also really aware of his rushing lanes, and just kind of, even the way he was running felt very similar to me. So I just thought he looked good in his first game. I'm more concerned. I'm more concerned with the Chargers because their O-line was getting obliterated in this game, right? They also suffered another injury on the O-line with Joe Alt, and that's a problem. But their offensive line, even before Joe Alt went out, was just getting worked against a pretty good Giants defensive line. I mean, the low scoring has also become their identity now, because now it's been like 4 straight games of them probably not scoring above like 25, right? I mean, let's see. I think the first game they scored above 25, but that was against the Chiefs. Yeah, Chiefs was 27-21, 20-9 against the Raiders, 23-20, 21-18. I mean, they scored 18 in this Giants game. So it's just them low scoring games seems like a problem. Like, I feel like they're airing the ball out more, but they just don't have a lot of balance to their offense right now. Like, I think Justin Herbert looks really good. But I think some of their weapons are looking really good with Quentin Johnston, and they're starting to wake up. But it just doesn't feel right when I watch them completely. It doesn't feel like they're fully ready to really take the mantle of, like, we're real contenders for the Super Bowl. Let's see if they can get it together throughout the season. But, like, I'm concerned with them after this game. And not just because they lost to the Giants, but it's this consistent struggle to score a lot of points. I mean, I can understand going against the Broncos with, they have a good defense. Raiders defense is whatever. Scoring only 20 against them, it's like, what are we doing? The Chiefs defense is solid. You score 27 against them. The Chiefs defense is solid. You score 27 against them. Giants defense is, like, not very good. Like, they have good guys. They got dogs on that D-line, and they got, like, one good corner in Andrew Phillips. But, like, other than that, you could have scored more against this team. And Herbert didn't look good in this game. Like, he made a lot of mistakes and just was not playing very well. So I'm just concerned with the Chargers going forward. We'll see if this continues or if they get back on their winning ways. But, Jackson Dart looked good, and that's kind of really all it is to say about it in this game. Moving on to the international game. This game, I got to this game last because it was an international game. I just was like, let me go focus on everything else. This was kind of like, this was a fun game from watching Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers again. Like, you saw Aaron Rodgers be like the classic Aaron Rodgers, and that was really fun to see him do that. Rodgers clearly likes playing for Tomlin. Like that one play, that big play they had with DK, and then he's running down the field. He's like pointing at Tomlin and be like, yeah, you did that. Like, it's just, I like seeing that. He seems like he's having a lot more fun. Which is something I just haven't seen Aaron Rodgers look like he was having in feels like years. Even when he was playing with Matt LaFleur, you could tell him and Matt LaFleur weren't really messing with each other like that. And the defense is a problem. That defense is a problem, like a legitimate problem. And they're starting to get their stride with that defense too, right? So that together is going to become an issue. But let's see them against better teams before I start declaring that their defense is great. But, like, it's good. It's got good players on it. But they haven't faced a really good competition yet. I mean, you got You got the Browns next. You got Bengals next. Green Bay. Let's see what that defense does against Green Bay. That might be more of a conversation. We'll see how that works out. But as far as the Vikings go, the Vikings are not going anywhere with this O-line. Their O-line can't really protect. Even with, Carson Wentz out there, they just don't. It doesn't really seem like they have a good protection plan for him. And Carson is gonna Carson. Carson was kind of, up and down this game. He was 30 for 46, threw the ball 46 times. I mean, gee, that's something I was talking about last week. I was like, I don't want Carson Wentz throwing the ball 46 times, man. But anyway, 30 for 46, 350 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, 84.5 rating. Feels like a Carson stat to me. That feels like a Carson stat. And, it's not good. Gets you a lot of fantasy points, but it doesn't really do much on the field. The Vikings just they need to figure out that O-line. The defense is good. You had another good performance by Rodgers. He's been going crazy. I don't know where the hell that came from, but, he's been going crazy. And, good game, fun game. Glad Ireland got this as their first game. The crowd also seemed like they this is the first time I saw an international crowd that kind of seemed like they knew the game. Because it's like they knew when to cheer and when not to cheer, which was an interesting thing. So that was cool. But I'm glad it was nice. It was fun to see Rodgers have fun again. The Vikings are going to have to figure out their offensive line, and we'll see how it goes from here. But that's all for my game breakdowns or my weekly recap. We're now moving on to where we're going to stick with the weekly recap, and we're just going to go over the AFC standings. Now, so you see the AFC East here. Buffalo's in front, 4-0. They're undefeated. New England is 2-2. Miami's 1-3. Jets are 0-4. Now, it's definitely not a 2-horse race because Buffalo's going to win that division, but I can see out of all the teams here that could possibly be wildcard teams, it's probably New England. I could see Miami maybe getting back in it, maybe, but I doubt it. I doubt it very much so. They're 1-3, and they're just not a very good team right now, but they're showing a lot of heart, and which is good, which that can get you some more wins that you weren't expecting. New England is 2-2. They're a solid team, and as I said before, Drake May is playing phenomenally right now. But I got Buffalo winning that division. AFC North, Pittsburgh is in the front 3-1, Cincinnati 2-2, Baltimore 1-3, Cleveland 1-3. Now I could see Baltimore getting their way back into this. I just can't believe that they're going to be this bad all season, especially with Lamar. But that defense is terrible. But also so is Cincinnati's defense. And it seems like their offense is failing too. So this might be like an easy divisional win right here for Pittsburgh with all these problems everywhere else. And then you got AFC South here. This is a 2-horse race division right here. Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. You got Indianapolis here at 3-1, Jacksonville 3-1, Houston 1-3, Tennessee 0-4. Jacksonville and Indianapolis, I can't wait for that game. I want to see that game. I can't wait to see who's going to come out there. They haven't played each other yet, so this is probably more based off a point differential. But we'll see with that. It's a 2-horse race. I would have my money on the Colts because I like Shane Steichen more as a coach, but the Jacksonville does have Trevor Lawrence. They do have a really good defense. It's 2 really good defenses with quarterbacks that I don't fully trust, but that are playing fairly well right now. So we'll see how that goes going forward. AFC West is about a 3-horse race right here. Denver or Chargers 3-1, Kansas City with 2-2, Denver is 2-2, and Las Vegas is 1-3. Vegas is out. I think the Raiders are out personally for me. The Broncos are still very in it. They have a good defense. Very good defense. Their offense is shaky, but can score points. The Chiefs basically just showed everybody, hey, we still the Chiefs. And the Chargers, like I said before, I'm starting to question them a little bit. Can they sustain greatness throughout an entire season? That's always been their question there. Can Herbo do that? Can the whole team do that? And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But if I had to put money on it, I know I'm, just, tried and true, but I would put my money on the Chiefs for that one specifically. But moving on to the NFC standings, you got obviously my Birds 4-0, Washington 2-2, Dallas is 1-2-1. They tied. But anyway, Giants are 1-3. To me, this is a 2-horse race. I can see Dallas getting back in it like in a wild card way, but I don't really see them really competing in this division very much. That defense is really terrible, but as long as you got Dak and he's got at least one weapon, he can put up points. Clearly he can do that. Washington, I just don't trust this team at all. I mean, I would be surprised if they don't want to or they don't get to a wild card spot. But I would be actually surprised if they start pushing for that. If Philly keeps winning and they figure out their offensive issues even minorly, that Eagles team is going to be almost undefeatable. Like, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, unless this passing situation with them continues to be terrible and the running game never gets it together, I don't see Washington, which I just highly doubt that's going to be like that the whole season. Because we had similar questions last year and they pulled it together. I feel like they've garnered enough benefit of the doubt for us to go, they can figure out what's going on with their issues. Let's not worry about it in week 5. If it's week 13 and we're still talking about this, yeah, it's fair to start questioning it or to question it more aggressively. But Washington just has problems that I just don't see the answer for. Their defense, they don't have the dogs on defense. Regardless of how well they're coached. I mean, the offense has not been playing that poorly without Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? So it's not that the offense looks very similar to what it was with Jaden Daniels to me. But it's not like, not to say that Jaden Daniels is not a good player, but I don't think he is adding so much to that offense by coming back from injury that he's probably not going to be fully healed from, to the point where they're going to be, seriously competing with the Eagles. Minus the Eagles having a complete collapse. Now, if the Eagles have a complete collapse, then yeah. But I don't see that happening right now. Moving on to the NFC North, I want to say this is a 3-horse race, but a 4-horse race, but it really feels like a 1-horse race to me. Like, I know everyone's going to be like, well, Chicago looks solid or looks like they're getting it together. They can stack wins. Minnesota's always dangerous. And Green Bay looks good on that defense, and they got Jordan Love. But I just think there's only one team in this whole division, in my opinion, that I don't have questions about. Like, I mean, I have maybe one question about their defense, their defensive secondary. But I know that their D-line is good enough to kind of make up for that. I have questions about injury problems, but other than that, it's not anything that's really happening on the team at the moment. It's all like hypothetical, if this happens, if this doesn't happen. Now, if injuries, become a problem for Detroit, which they've already had some serious injuries before the season even started, that's going to be a problem. Dan Campbell will give away a game or two off of just being aggressive, which I don't hate, but I hate that you're losing the game, but I love that he's aggressive. That's just how he coaches. And I just don't trust Green Bay's defense as a whole. I trust their defensive line. I trust their linebackers. I don't like their secondary one bit. I'm not a big fan of it, except for Xavier McKinney. That's kind of it. I also think Jordan Love gets a little bit overrated. I don't really think he has a lot of weapons. Matthew Golden, like I was saying, hasn't really shown up as that number one option that they were, everyone was touting him as. They're going to connect on some big plays, early on. I mean, at some point in the season, but he just doesn't look as consistent as I would expect him to. Minneapolis, they don't really have a quarterback. Carson Wentz is solid. Everyone's acting like he's going to be Sam Darnold again, but I think Carson is done. Carson is Carson. And then the only way I can really see being a surprise is Chicago. They start stacking wins, that can be a thing for them. But I think Detroit has this division going forward. I think there's just too many questions with all the other teams, in my opinion. Moving on to the NFC South, Tampa Bay is in first place 3-1. Atlanta's 2-2. Cardinals are 1-3, and New Orleans is 0-4. New Orleans, you can count them out. They're not doing anything. Cardinals, I want to believe that they can be good enough to be a wild card team, but I don't think they are. I'm not going to put my money on it. I think this is really like a two-horse race here between Atlanta and Tampa Bay, because Atlanta played Tampa Bay really well in that first game against them. And I think Tampa's going to start seeing the problems of their squad start to show up. Like, they're going to start seeing the injuries start to affect them. I think Baker is a great quarterback, but I also think he's one of those quarterbacks that can turn the ball over if you bait him enough. They got some dogs coming up in the schedule too with the Seahawks. Niners are always going to give you a good game. They got the Lions after that. That's rough. That 3-game stretch. I mean, this 4-game stretch alone after the Jets was crazy. They played the Falcons, Texans, and Jets. Then they played the Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, then the Lions in that 4-game stretch until week 7. Then it gets kind of chill with the Saints, Patriots. Then they got the Bills, then the Rams. Cardinals are probably going to give them more of a game, but it's still an easier one. Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and they got kind of chill for the rest of it after the Rams. But they got some dogs coming up that can really beat them and put them in a position, especially if these injuries persist, especially on the O-line, because their O-line is really struggling. Their O-line is really, really struggling. And they don't have their best guys like Mike Evans right now. So when they get Mike Evans back, are they going to be killers? Probably. But I like Atlanta's defense a lot. And if Michael Penix plays more like the Michael Penix we saw in the game against Washington, that's going to be a hard team to beat. That's all I got to say about that. That's going to be a hard team to beat. So that's a 2-horse race to me. Atlanta can definitely win that division. I'd put my money on the Buccaneers, but Atlanta can definitely win that division. Moving on to the NFC West. This one's a crapshoot. This was all over the place. San Francisco is in first place with 3-1, which I suspect that will not last after tonight, or after tomorrow night. Well, I don't know when you guys are going to see this. I'm making this on Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Either if you see it tomorrow, then tonight. If you see it today, then tomorrow. Or yesterday if you see it on Friday. But they're San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams are all tied at 3-1, and then Arizona's there at 2-2. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really believe in Atlanta. I mean, in Arizona, but they play teams close. They don't just get their butts whooped. They're not a team that you can kind of just sleep on. They're a solid squad that can steal a game from you if you're not ready, and they've been that for a couple years now, especially under Gannon. They don't really have the dogs, but I can see in those divisional games, sometimes it don't matter. Sometimes those divisional games just be chippy and you just want to beat a team so bad that you end up beating a team you have no business beating, or you end up losing to a team that you have no business losing to, right? So I could see them pushing all 3 of the other teams seriously in every game they face them. The Rams are really good. I would say the Rams are probably the best overall team in this division. San Francisco's dealing with so many friggin' injuries, that I have to assume they're going to start losing games. I think they're going to lose tomorrow. And Seattle just has a phenomenal defense, and if Sam Darnold keeps playing like he's playing, they might legitimately be the best team in that division. So I see that, honestly, I want to say I see that as a my brain tells me it's a 3-horse race, but it could easily become a 4-horse race. If Arizona just kind of keeps themselves 500 and they let some other team, all the other teams just kill each other, it could happen. It could happen. But I would still probably put my money on the Rams winning that division, but we'll see. That's all I got for the full week recap. Let's move on to where the passing yards are at. Just want to show top 5 in passing yards right now is Dak, Matthew Stafford, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love. Crazy. Daniel Jones being there is just wild. But Dak is always kind of leading the league as far as passing yards go. He gets a lot of passing yards. Matt Stafford is really, really good. He's Matt Stafford. Justin Herbert doesn't surprise me. Jordan Love doesn't surprise me. I'm going to do this pretty much every quarter of the year, just kind of look at what the passing yards are. And this is pretty much what it is through week 4 is these guys. I wonder how much this is going to change. I wonder if Daniel Jones is going to stay there. I wonder if Dak's going to stay there. And Jordan Love is iffy. But we'll see. I mean, it's early in the season. We'll see as time goes on. Let's go to the receiving yards. Receiving yards is Puka, obviously. His quarterback is second. Puka is arguably the best wide receiver in the league. I already talked about that. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been going crazy. He's been going nuts. Quentin Johnston has been really, really good. And Ricky Pearsall has been playing really well. We got some bad news about him coming up too. And then Justin Jefferson's been really good. Like, it just all around great players. Puka's probably the best one out of all of them. And I'm just really excited to see how this changes, how this doesn't change. Top 5 rushing yards right here. Jonathan Taylor's number 1, 414. James Cook is number 2. Travis Etienne. J.K. Dobbins has been balling, and B.J. Robinson's at 314. Bijan Robinson also has an additional 270 yards of passing. So he's sitting at about 400, 500. He's sitting at about almost 600 yards of total offense, right? So he's a Bijan. We're going to start calling him OPOY. I'm telling you, he's really good. Travis Etienne's had a big year so far. Jonathan Taylor's been like that whole offense, essentially. Him and Daniel Jones have been going crazy. But yeah, and then we're going to move on to the sack leaders. Brian Burns and Byron Young both have 5. Nick Bonito, 5.5. Rashawn Gary, 5.5. You can see Rashawn Gary already getting that Micah Parsons bump right there, and Carl Granderson with 4.5. Like, that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. Nick Bonito is a fantastic player. Byron Young is such an underrated, unsung hero of that defensive line. And then Byron Burns is always good, right? So moving on to the tackles. We're going to top 6 leaders for tackles. You got Jordan Brooks, Tyrod Dodson on the Dolphins. You got Bobby Wagner, Quay Walker, Tremaine Edmonds, and then Jermaine Sherwood. I do feel like there is something to be said where it's like bad defenses. You're going to have more tackle leaders than bad defenses, because every single one of these teams is a bad defense. Like, I don't know if you noticed that. But the Dolphins defense sucks. Washington defense sucks. Green Bay's defense is not terrible, but it's also not as good as it could be. They gave up 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys. The Bears defense is solid, not great. And Jets defense is pretty bad this year. So it's like, you're probably going to get the leaders of this usually being on bad defenses, but it's good that they're still leading. Jordan Brooks, nice to see that he's still doing his thing. Terrell Dodson, nice to see that he got somewhere. Bobby Wagner's still going crazy. Quay Walker's finally getting going. Tremaine Edmonds, nice to see him doing his thing. Jermaine Sherwood has been great too. But those are the leaders. Now we're going to move on to the next segment, which this is injuries and news. So we're going to start with Trey Benson. Trey Benson has been placed on IR, which really sucks because they already lost James Conner probably for the season. Now they're going to lose Trey Benson for a whole nother at least 4 weeks. At least he's not coming back to at least week 9. So that sucks for the Cardinals. They're going to have to be using DeMarcado and I forget the other little running back they got over there, but DeMarcado is the main one that I remember. But that sucks for the Cardinals. That sucks for the Cardinals. They're already struggling to run the ball without James Conner. They're definitely going to be struggling more because I think Trey Benson's pretty damn good. Moving on, this was something I talked about in the game recaps. Joe Alt, he's going to be out for several weeks, which they already don't need because they already lost Rashawn Slater for the year with an ACL. That sucks. Like, this is really bad. And that line is already struggling. Has been struggling like crazy all year, and now it's even going to be struggling even more with Joe Alt. And they looked terrible after he went out. Let's hope the Chargers can kind of keep it together, but Joe Alt's going to be out for several weeks. And then you got Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is going to be out for the season. He had a gruesome injury. I mean, you literally saw his leg was turned the other way. Like, it was gross. I'm not going to show it because that's one, I'm going to get demonetized, and then two, it's bad. I don't even want to see that. But the funny thing about that one thing, or like this injury, the weird thing about it is this: Tyreek Hill laughing. Like, I've never seen someone more happy to be hurt in my life. Maybe he's just trying to keep the energy up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, you just like dislocated your whole leg and you ripped a couple ligaments, you're gonna have to get an ACL surgery. You're gonna get an MCL surgery. I get it. Maybe he's just trying to keep the vibes up, but it is weird when this team's vibes were already messed up that he's clapping and excited when he just like broke his, like essentially dislocated his entire leg and is probably gonna be out for the rest of the season. It's just a weird image. Does that mean he's happy to be hurt so he doesn't have to play? Maybe. Is it him just trying to keep the energy up? Maybe. I don't know. It's just something to keep an eye on. He's also kind of weird, and this was a little disturbing. And we know that he's kind of emotionally, an issue because we've heard about his DV cases and all that other stuff. But it's just weird. It's a very weird look. We'll see if it really matters. But anyway, moving on to the next one. This one is terrible. This one is just terrible because MetLife claimed another one today. Actually claimed two because you got Joe Alt and now you got him out for the season, right? There have been, since 2020, there have been 16 season-ending injuries, soft tissue, non-contact injuries, patellar tendons, ACLs, MCLs, Achilles. There's been 16. And the players have been talking about it for years. You want to talk about player safety. You want to try and get rid of the tush push for player safety. Yet you still have the turf. You still have turf in a giant stadium that's horrible and has caused more injuries than we can count. You clearly could get rid of it and go to regular grass, Mara family. You clearly could be getting rid of it and go to regular grass, Woody Johnson. And the NFL, you could demand that they do that. But you won't. I mean, you're clearly doing it for the FIFA World Cup next year, but you won't. It just so happens to me that it just doesn't feel like you really care about player safety. Doesn't really feel like you care about any of these players. Feels more like you give a crap about selling tickets and saving money on having to take care of grass. And now you just lost your star wide receiver who puts butts in seats, sells jerseys, and you just lost him after you're about to start your new rookie quarterback. He's arguably the best player on the team. It's just like this field keeps claiming people's legs, keeps claiming their tendons, and the league will do nothing about it. The team will do nothing about it, and no one seems, and we talk about this every year. Even Odell Beckham has come out and said, please, if you care about health and safety, get rid of the turf. He's also one of the players, I think, that got hurt on that turf. Sterling Shepard got hurt there twice. He tore his ACL twice on that field. It's bad. It needs to change, and they need to get rid of it already. Like, it's just something that, like, the NFLPA needs to petition more. It needs to do more. All this crap they're trying to do where they're trying to get rid of a tush push, trying to make the kickoffs longer. Meanwhile, these players are, getting hurt on this stupid ass field that is old school turf that nobody even uses anymore. Nobody uses it. Soccer teams refuse to use it because they know it causes injuries. That's why the FIFA, one of the most corrupt, like, entities in sports is saying we will not play in this field unless you switch out this turf into grass. And they did that. But they won't do it for their own players that they spend money on and invest in. But whatever, moving on. Praying for a speedy recovery from Malik Neighbors. Really sucks. This one's even more kind of sad because it's getting floated around that this could be like a career ender for him. He's got a serious neck injury. Not a neck injury. He's got a serious neck injury that is going to sideline him for the whole season. It felt like he was going to be out for like a game or two, and then they just randomly said, nope, it's going to be for the whole season. This is pretty sad. Sucks. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. He's also the reason why their defense has been kind of sucking because, like, he's not there. And to float around the idea that he might be considering just, like, retiring, that really sucks. That really does. And I'm really wishing him a speedy recovery, and I hope he doesn't have to retire if he doesn't want to. If he wants to, all the best to him. I hope he's in the right headspace and has the right support system to help him make that decision, to make the right decision for himself. You know, just praying for Nnamdi, praying for all these players that are hurt, because it's just all this. It sucks. It sucks. And I know some people are probably like, don't pray for Tyreek, but like, still, it sucks. Like, I don't want nobody to get hurt. This is a terrible thing to be dealing with or have to deal with. Moving on. We're going to move on to my power rankings. Moving on. My power rankings that probably have a lot of logical fallacies in them. Most of them do. So I'm just kind of winging it when it comes to that. Because it's just more how I'm feeling about the team at the time. So I'm going to start with the who we drafting teams. This is my lowest tier. Who we drafting. I had to move the Titans down 2 spots. I mean, it's they were at 30, they're now at 32. They suck. They're like really bad. It's not a question anymore. It's not like, they suck. It is what it is. The Jets moved down 4 spots because I'm starting to believe in them less. They just don't have the dogs. They don't have what it is. I moved the Saints from 32 up to 2 spots simply because they showed a lot of heart in that game against the Bills, which they didn't have to. They could have easily just laid down in that game and got their butts whipped, but they really were trying to win that game through most of the game until like the Bills pretty much like said, no, we're going to just shut the door on you and call it a day. Which of course the Bills are a better team. They should be doing that. But the Saints were showing a lot of fight in that game, and I think they deserve to be raised up 2 spots. I mean, they're still one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they at least deserve more respect than I was giving them before. The Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns went down 1 spot. 1 spot. They still suck, but their defense is really good. It's going to keep them in games, but they just look bad against the Lions, and they don't know what they're doing at quarterback. So, we'll see how that goes. Panthers dropped to 1 spot. I finally put them in a lower tier. I really wanted to believe in this Panthers team, but I can't right now. They're just really bad. And you just don't know what Bryce Young you're going to get week to week. And you don't know what Panthers team you're going to get week to week. I mean, they're putting up 30 against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Well, maybe not 30. They put up 24 because one of those was a pick six, 23 because one of those was a pick six, but they still put up points. They couldn't put up more than 13 points against the Patriots. It's just, I mean, the Patriots is a good defense too, but you just did that against the Falcons. Like, why couldn't you do it here? But it just doesn't make sense to me. They're really like just all over the place bipolar team in my opinion. But they got the pieces to be something, but they're just not right now. Middle of the pack teams. We're going to start with the lowest to the highest. I'm going to go with the Giants. I moved them up 2 spaces, and I moved them out of the who we drafting teams because now they got some hope. They got some fun hope. They got Jackson Dart. That's probably going to make them feel a little bit like, can we push for a wild card spot? Can we do all this stuff? They're probably not. They're probably not going to be pushing for that, but it's going to make them feel like that, and it's going to make the fans feel like that. So you put them up a little more. They are more of a middle of the pack team, where it's I could see them winning like 7 games with Jackson Dart. He can inject some life into that team. Bengals, I dropped down 2 spots, and I'm getting close to putting them in who we drafting. I got to see. They're one of those teams that I feel like I got to see them for another couple weeks before I really am like, nah, they're done. They're finished. But they're pretty bad. They're in a bad spot. The Raiders also, I dropped them 3 spots. They're just really garbage. Like they're not good. They're really not good. And, they have a bunch of weapons, no quarterback, and their defense is probably underperforming. Dolphins, I brought them up 5 spots because at least they're playing with some heart. I brought them up 5 spots because also I had to keep the Giants behind them, and I also had to drop these 2 behind them too as well, the Raiders and the Bengals, because those guys, I don't trust these 2 at all. But the Dolphins at least were showing some heart. They showed heart in the Buffalo game on Thursday last week, and they showed a lot of heart in saying we're just gonna go stomp these Jets. We're at least better than them, take care of business against this really crappy team. They showed a lot of heart, so I had to move them up. 24 feels about right. They're kind of all over the place, so they might drop down again next week. I kept the Cowboys at 23. I left them exactly where they needed to be because I still think they're a horrible team. But, Dak makes them at least watchable. I don't think they're going to be really competing for anything. So I don't think that's going to be a thing. They're a bad team. Just keep it at that. Patriots, I brought them up 2 spots because they showed a lot. Drake May is playing really well, and I think they can survive off of that. I really think they can. Their defense has also been playing really well as well. I might start bringing them up. Cardinals, I dropped them 4 spots because they can be competitive, but they just don't have the horses. Like there's a lot of teams like that just have a lot of heart but don't have the horses right now, and the Cardinals are one of them. Texans, man, I'm getting ready to kind of just throw them out, but the Texans they dropped 4 spots. Their offense is terrible, but at least CJ Stroud is still a good quarterback. He's just not playing. He is definitely regressing. He's not playing up to his ability, and their defense is just too good to be like this bad the whole year. And then the 49ers, I dropped them 7 spots. I dropped the Niners 7 spots because of all the injuries. I do think, yes, I think they're in the lead right now in their division, but I do think those injuries are going to really start to hamper them. We're going to talk about a few other ones that they've, received coming up in a second. But yeah, there's too many. At some point, these injuries have to stop them from winning games. At some point. Pittsburgh, I brought them up 2 spots. I'm starting to believe in them a little bit. I still don't think they're a serious contender, but they're a middle of the pack. They can end up sucking if they don't if they don't stay consistent. But Mike Tomlin teams are kind of known for their consistency. So we'll see, and they'll probably be moving them up soon, maybe. I got to see more out of them before I start really trusting them. Falcons went up 2 spots because Michael Penix basically showed yeah, I had that bad game, but I'm also still actually quite good. And you can trust that I'll be good again, at least more than I'll be bad. So that's really important, I think, to see from him. And then I had the Bears go up 2 spots because they're starting to get it together. Their offense is starting to get it together. They're fun to watch. I'm liking the Bears right now. I'm starting to like the Bears, starting to believe in them. Vikings dropped 2 spots because I do think the injuries are going to start piling up. I mean, they're going to start affecting them. Their defense is solid. It's good. I mean, it's very good. It's very well coached. It has the dogs too, but they just don't have anything on offense. They don't really have much on offense other than Justin Jefferson. I moved the Jaguars up 2 spots because I felt like I wasn't giving them enough respect. I still don't trust them enough. Still think they're like a middle of the pack team, but I don't feel like they have completely cemented themselves as a legitimate long shot dark horse team. I got to see it for a full season before I start to really trust them. Moving on to my pretenders group. Washington, I have at 13. I dropped them 4 spots because I don't think they're very good. I really don't. And I personally don't think Jaden Daniels is going to make them that much better right now. I just think they don't have the dogs on defense. I think they have so many injuries on offense already. I mean, like we said already, Debo, Terry, and Noah Brown are not even practicing today or didn't practice today. So, that's a problem. I just don't trust them right now. Denver, I have above them, moved them up 2 spots. Denver's quite good. Their defense is good, and their offense is solid enough to carry them through stuff. They're pretenders, though. They're not going to be a legit. I don't think they're legit. I don't think they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders, but I think they're legitimate contenders in their division. Seahawks I moved them up 4 spots. I'm actually starting to believe in them. I'm starting to believe in Sam Darnold. He's been putting together great performances over and over again, so I think that's real. The Ravens, I dropped 4 spots. They're in the pretender spot, and I know what you're thinking. DJ, why would you have them, 8 spots above the Steelers? Because I don't trust Aaron Rodgers right now. I don't trust that Steelers team. But I have more evidence through time that the Ravens will eventually win enough games to be considered in the wild card situation, but they are just not good enough to win a championship right now. So they're in the pretenders spot. Colts, I still have them in pretenders. I still need to see more before I start making them long horses. But I have a suspicion that they are actually long horses and dark horses. So we'll see as time goes on. They again, let me go see their record. Let me go see what their schedule is real quick. They have the Raiders next week, so they can easily win that. They got the Cardinals after that. They can win that, and they got the Chargers, right? So these are winnable games. Let's see them against that. The Chargers game, I feel like, is gonna tell us a little more. They got the Chiefs at some point this year too, so that might tell us a little more about who they are and what they actually are. But they have a pretty easy schedule too, so like they can stay consistently winning without us seeing like what they actually are. They kind of remind me of what the Broncos were last year early on, where they were really good, and then as the season went on, you started to see it's like, oh, they're not as good as we thought they were. And then they just, when they got to the playoffs, it was very obvious, oh, they can't compete against these other teams. But we'll see. We'll see if that continues with them or if maybe I'm just underrating them. Who knows? Let's move on to the long shots and dark horses. Now, Buccaneers, I had to drop them one spot because they got their butts kicked, and it's mainly because of injuries. Their injuries are pretty bad, pretty serious issue, and it's starting to show. It's starting to show. They were dealing with it when they were playing bad teams, but now they played a good team, and they really, to be honest, they really weren't competing in that game. Like, it just, between the Eagles offense not playing well in the second half and the defense giving up 2 70-yard bombs, which, like, how often does that happen in a Fangio defense? Not a lot. They don't, they didn't really compete. The Eagles were in pretty much full control that whole game. The Chiefs, I moved them up 2 spots to 7. They were at 9. They're starting to get the groove back. They're starting to get that how the Chiefs got the groove back sort of feeling. When they just whooped on the Ravens. I mean, that felt like classic Mahomes, but we'll see if that continues. I still got questions about their offense as a whole, but we'll see if that continues. The Rams, still a very good team. Moved them up 2 spots. Still really, really, really good team. They're probably going to be a serious contender at some point, but right now I'm still questioning some aspects of their team. I question Sean McVay more than I question the roster, and not necessarily Sean McVay's play calling or his offensive design, but his like game management. And for him, his game management is really important because it actually does cost him games. Like, there's been a history of him costing his team games through his bad game management so poorly. I mean, it's been such a bad history of it that he's had multiple videos on the Rams YouTube page talking about how he has improved his game management skills. So like, it's a real thing for him. That's the only reason why I have them in long shot dark horses, to be honest. Green Bay Packers, I kept them at 5, but I moved them down in tiers. You notice these two here, Green Bay, Chargers, they're both at their same spots, but they're moved down the tier. Green Bay and Chargers, I think I have a lot more questions about them after these 4 weeks than I did after the first games, right? So Green Bay, their defense it's good, but it's missing something. And that's the secondary. The secondary is not very good. Giving up 40 points against the Cowboys when your offense is giving 40 points is just, it's just, there's like, that's more than just, oh, Dallas is good or Dak Prescott and George Pickens are good. That's like, no, Green Bay's defense is also not as good as we may have thought, and we may have been like championing for so hard in the start of the season. Then the Chargers, that O-line is going to become a real problem. Like I've been saying, that running game not existing has been forcing Justin Herbert to throw the ball way more, and which, if that's the case, the O-line is really bad, and they're really bad at pass blocking, so they're not going to be able to do that. Maybe they're bad at run blocking too, and that's why their run game can't get going. But if their O-line is going to play like this the whole season, they're going to keep dropping down this. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be more than just, long shots and dark horses. It's going to be like a serious, drop off. And if Justin Herbert plays this poorly behind a bad O-line, that's going to be a problem as well. Now to my Super Bowl contenders, which is my full rankings of my Super Bowl contenders, right? These are the 3 teams that I see as like legitimate contenders. And that's the Lions at 3. I left them at 3. Bills at 2. I left them at 2. And the Eagles at 1. I left them at 1. Now, you can easily switch these Lions and the Eagles. You can easily switch them right now. But I personally just don't look at the Eagles as I don't have so much concern for them that I'm like, oh, the Lions are that much better. I think the Lions just feel like they have more of an edge right now. They have just a bit of an edge right now that I don't think the Eagles have at the moment. But as we saw last year, it was very similar last year too. They didn't have the edge. The Lions looked better. Then they just had that little bit of, then the edge came around like week 12, week 13, and the rest is history, right? So again, until the champs are beaten, until they've lost a game and I've seen what they look like in a loss, I can't in my right mind move them out of that number one spot because they are still the champs. And the champs are going to keep winning, even if it's in games where they're making it harder for themselves, which is killing me. But you still have to give them the respect that they have, and they're still undefeated, just like the Bills. So that's my rankings. Those are my power rankings. I'll show you the full one here. If you want to get that full power rankings, I will be posting this as well on my posts. This is how it looks. If you got any questions about it, if you hate it, let me know. Sit down in the comments, talk to me, tell me whatever. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Logical fallacies, whatever. There's probably a ton of them, and you're probably right. But these are my power rankings. This is what I feel. And that is that for my power rankings. Let's move on to my picks update. Picks update. So I'm trying to stay above 500, right? So I was right about the Seahawks versus Cardinals. I called that. Vikings versus Steelers, I was wrong about. Did not expect the Steelers defense to play as well as they played, and also didn't think that the Vikings O-line would be as bad as they were. I picked Washington to win this game. I did not expect Michael Penix to play as well as he did. That was a bad choice by me. Bills beat the Saints. Giants beat the Chargers. I mean, you can't blame me for that one. I think everyone picked the Chargers in that one, but whatever. Texans versus the Titans, right on that one. Lions versus the Browns, right on that one. Pick the Patriots against the Panthers, right on that one. Pick the Eagles versus the Buccaneers, right on that one. Rams versus the Colts was right about that. Jaguars versus 49ers. That was one of the few risks I took in that game where I just kind of like, this was a risk I took that week. I thought for sure, I was like, man, the 49ers could win that game, and I think the 49ers could be a better team. They got Brock Purdy back. But I was like, I don't know. I like this Jaguars team a little bit more. So I picked the Jaguars team. That was a risky pick, but it turned out well. Chiefs beat the Baltimore Ravens. I picked the Bears to beat the Raiders. And I picked the Green Bay Packers to win this game against the Cowboys. I did not expect it to end up in a tie. And for that, I will give myself a tie. I will give myself a tie here because I picked the right person, but not really the right person. You know what I mean? I picked the Jets to beat the Dolphins, and I forgot to put a X here, but I was definitely wrong about that for sure. I was 100% wrong about that. So that's four losses. And then I picked the Broncos to beat the Bengals. So that was an easy choice, and I won that there. So my record this week was 11-4-1, and my season record so far is 44-19-1. And I'm just trying to stay 500 or better. Let's see if it sticks. Let's see if I can keep doing that. It's going to get more complicated as the year goes on. Let's see. It's a lot of fun doing these picks, though. A lot of fun. And we're moving on now we're going to do some injury news of the day, which I'm going to go on Twitter for some of that. And also go on Twitter for some of that. And some of these I also have like pictures for. So first we're going to start with these right here, because this goes back to my conversation around the Niners and their injuries. Now it's Brock Purdy on a short week and Ricky Pearsall on a short week. Maybe if the week wasn't short, they'll play, but that's another game they're going to be without these guys. And what we heard too is that Brock Purdy came to Shanahan after the game and said, my toe's still hurting. And they were like, well, there's not much we can do about getting him out there now. We're just going to have to put him out there and see See what happens, right? So that's what they're doing now, and they're taking it now. They're having to take him out because he's back to being injured. So that's a problem. Ricky Pearsall also suffered an injury in his game, and that's also a bigger issue because he's been playing really well, top 5 in receiving yards right now. Just really sad that is kind of going on. We're gonna go through today's injuries though over here. So yes, as I said before, Terry McLaurin, Debo out on Wednesday. They did not practice. Jaden Daniels is back, but he's going to be without his top 2 guys, it seems like. Calvin Ridley didn't practice today. Who else? I'm actually just going through Twitter, just like seeing the ones I've seen, because I saw a bunch. And then CeeDee Lamb is still out. Did not practice Wednesday. It's just, really just not looking good for. Dallas Goedert is another one that freaked me out as an Eagles fan. Like, he was out for he was not practicing today. Another another issue that the Eagles have been dealing with, not having all their guys healthy all at once, comes with the territory when you win a Super Bowl though. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones. Lamar Jackson, I think, practiced today. Oh, no, he's out. No, Lamar Jackson's out for 2 to 3 weeks. Did not practice today. Miles Sanders was out today. And it's just, Baker was out today in practice as well. New injury. He did not practice. Juwan Johnson on the Saints was out. Chuba Herbert was out. It's just there's a lot of little small ticky-tack stuff that are getting out. And Bucky Irving is week to week with a foot sprain. So it's just a lot of little stuff happening right now with these other guys, and it's just nice to keep abreast of what's going on. But it just really sucks seeing the Niners deal with so many injuries. It really sucks seeing the Washington Commanders seem like they just can't get their injuries together either. You got Debo and Terry McLaurin out a lot. This Dallas Goedert's injury is bad. It's just a lot of teams dealing with a lot of stuff, and it always sucks when you see those little ticky-tack stuff showing up. And this is all stuff that was announced today, so that's why I didn't already have it ready with, a symbol or like a slide. But got some good news. Well, not really good news, but like good for the rookie. But Dylan Gabriel was named starting quarterback. They benched Joe Flacco finally. Now, let's see how this goes, right? Because this is going to be probably the most sitcom-y, funny thing that's going to happen in the NFL this year, is watching that Browns QB room and seeing how it progresses. Because Joe Flacco sucked, right? So now they're putting Dylan Gabriel. And I don't know. I don't think Dylan Gabriel's bad. I just don't think he's that good. I think he's I always saw him in the draft as a perennial backup. But how do the Browns see them? Obviously, they think he's better than Shador. But if he goes out there and stinks it up, man, you think the circus is loud now. The circus is going to get even louder. And even today, and this goes back to what I said in my Shador Sanders videos, one of my first videos that I even made. Shador comes with a circus. He comes with the attention. He comes with everything that comes with being a star without any of the superstar ability that we have seen tangibly yet. Could he be a superstar? Could he go out there and ball out? Absolutely he could once he gets a chance. But we haven't seen that. And we haven't seen that in practice. According to his own team, obviously. We haven't seen that in the preseason games. He had moments in preseason games where he looked solid, but he didn't look... I didn't look at him and go, oh my God, this guy's a definitive starter. But they trust Dylan Gabriel more, and I think Dylan Gabriel is more along the lines of the type of quarterback Kevin Stefanski wants. Very accurate, gets through his progressions quick, bam, bam, bam. Shador is more of like he likes to extend the play and be more of an improviser. That's what he likes to do. I'm not saying Shador necessarily is good at that, but that's what he likes to do. So he still has problems with playing hero ball and, running in around in the pocket. So I could see why they want to go with Dylan Gabriel. Me personally, though, I think Shador's ceiling is way higher than Dylan Gabriel, that I'd rather try to develop Shador than try to develop Dylan Gabriel. I think both of them are kind of average, and neither one of them are that good to me. Shador is better, though, by a country mile than Dylan Gabriel. So I don't really understand what their thinking is here. But good for Dylan Gabriel to get the start. They definitely needed to switch quarterbacks anyways. Joe Flacco is just an old guy, and he just, he's really like collecting checks as the older, backup quarterback. Good for him. But it's time to move on to one of the young guys and see if one of the young guys can do it. If Dylan Gabriel isn't playing well, they should be starting Shador by week 8. Give Dylan Gabriel at least 4 weeks. If the offense looks exactly the same and it still sucks, put Shador in and stop playing around. But yeah, that's where they're at now. And now we're moving on to my week 5 picks. This is my last segment of the show, a long show. And it's week 5 picks. So this is a week 5 slate here. We got 14 games this week. I forget who is a bye this. And we are moving on now to my final segment, my week 5 picks. Now, we got 14 games this week. We got 4 teams on byes. That's the Falcons, the Bears, Packers, and the Steelers are all on byes. And these are my picks for these games. We're going to start off with the Thursday night game, which is tomorrow. If you're watching this on Thursday, then it's tonight. And if you're watching this on Friday, then it's yesterday. I got the Rams in this game. I think the Rams are just going to be too much for the 49ers, injury-ridden 49ers to handle. This was me kind of like reacting to the Jackson Dart wins his first start thing, where I got Dylan Gabriel winning his first start against the Vikings. Tough start for the kid. The Vikings is not a defense you really want to start a guy on, but I'm probably going to be wrong about this, to be honest. But I just wanted to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go Browns on this. I have a feeling the Browns might beat the Vikings here. I just got a feeling. I'm just throwing it out there. That's more of my risky pick, my little more out there pick, but I'm going to go to Browns here. I got the Giants beating the Saints. I'm not picking against the Eagles till they lose. Like, I'm not picking against the Eagles again until they lose. I picked against them against the Chiefs, was wrong. Not doing it until they lose. Picking them against the Broncos. I don't care how bad they're playing. I'm picking them against the Broncos. They don't know what an L is. I don't even think there's 25 letters in the alphabet to these guys. The Ravens, I picked the Ravens versus the Texans. I think the Ravens got to win. I mean, come on. Like, they got to win that game, right? Even without Lamar, come on. That Texans team is terrible. That Texans team is, like, really bad. You got to win that game there. I think Cooper Rush can definitely win that game for them. The Colts against the Raiders. I think the Colts got that one. Cowboys versus Jets. I got a feeling about the Jets here. The Jets got to win a game at some point, right? And the Cowboys are just not that good. And I think the Jets defense is much better than the defense. Well, I wouldn't say they're better than the Green Bay defense, but I do think they're good. I think they have a good defensive line, and I think they have a good secondary. So I think they're solid. And I think the Jets got to win a game at some point, and the Cowboys just seem really kind of all over the place, So I can see them dropping this game in New York. I can see it happening. Probably wrong, probably going crazy, but I can see it happening. I wanted to be a little more risky with my picks in this week. So I got Panthers versus Dolphins. I picked the Panthers here because I think both teams are kind of in the same spot where it's just like you can kind of – that's kind of a 50-50 game to me. And then you got but I picked the Panthers for that. I got Seahawks versus Buccaneers. I got the Seahawks here. They're still dealing with injuries. They still don't have Mike Evans. They might not even have Baker Mayfield in this game. I think the Seahawks win this game at home in Seattle. Cardinals versus Tennessee. I think the Cardinals beat Tennessee. I think Tennessee is bad. And I know it's like, well, Tennessee's 0-4 and Jets are 0-4. Why would you pick the Jets over Tennessee? Tennessee looks like they have no foundation to keep growing off of. Like, the Jets feel like they have at least some level of respect for their their coach, and the situation that they currently have. And it feels like they're going to win some games this year. They got to win some games this year. But anyway, but I got the Lions beating the Bengals. That's an easy choice. Washington versus Chargers. I went on a limb here. They're getting Jaden back. Yes, they're struggling with the wide receivers. But this Chargers O-line is really starting to show the cracks, and I really think that that's something that needs to be addressed. And there's no answer for it. There really isn't. There's no answer for losing both your bookend tackles to start the season. Like, it's just, there's no answer for it. So I could see Washington winning this game. They lost against the Falcons. Jaden's coming back. Their defense is probably feeling, oh, we're getting our guy back. We're getting our dog back, Jaden. I can see that happen, right? You got the Bills here versus the Patriots. I think the Bills are going to win this game, but I think Drake May is, and that's a Sunday night game too. Drake May, Sunday night. I think this might be a shootout here. I think Drake May is going to have himself a shootout with this Bills team. And it's going to be a Drake May versus Josh Allen conversation. And everybody's going to be like, oh, this kid held his own against Josh Allen. It's now time to start talking about Drake May and all this other stuff. I can see that happening 100%. And in the Monday night game, I chose the Jaguars against the Chiefs because I don't think the Chiefs are all the way there yet. I got to see more before I start saying the Chiefs are completely back. But they needed that win against the Ravens to prove to themselves what they are. I think the Jaguars defense is way better than the Ravens defense, like by a country mile. I think I got the Jaguars in this game. Now this might be the first week I lose because I'm taking a lot of risks with a lot of these choices. But I believe in them, you know? So that's just how I'm feeling about these picks. If you feel a certain way about them, if you don't feel a certain way about them, let me know. Talk to me and tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. Tell me in my post on when I post this on the post in the community, and let me know. But that'll do it for the Sideline Sickos Sports podcast for this week. If you made it to the end of the pod, I would like to thank you for your time and your view. And if you didn't make it to the end of the pod, thank you for the 5 seconds you gave me. I really appreciated it. If you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm see my content. It helps me grow. And stay tuned with Sideline Sickos Sports Podcast by turning on notifications. See you again tomorrow for my recap of 49ers versus Rams on TNF. Until next time, peace.